Hey guys, it's Venom here with another deck profile. It's the first time I've done this deck profile in a few weeks, or not a few weeks, but since last format. So I'm going to update you guys on my Inzektor deck, which I believe is still fairly competitive in this new format. So this is my September 2012 ban list Inzektors. I got a few cards while I was out at a regional to help make this deck a little bit better. So let's go ahead and look into the deck. First up, you've got Dark Dragon. That's always a staple for me in Inzektors. Always going to run it unless it gets banned or something, which I highly doubt it will because it's been happy at 1. 2 Gigamantis. It's a little bit more necessary now than it used to be to run 2. You can still get away with only running 1, but running 2 is definitely going to help you quite a bit. Because the deck is more of a beatdown deck now. Triple Inzektor Hopper. I used to only run 2 Inzektor Hopper, but now that Hornet and Dragonfly are both down to 1, you kind of got to run the 3rd Hopper. It's pretty much necessary, so triple Hoppers. Then you've got your 1 Inzektor Hornet because you've only got 1 now. It's kind of required. If you don't have an Inzektor Hornet, it's cheap. It's only like 10, 15 bucks now or something crazy cheap like that now. Used to be like 30 or 40 bucks, now it's only 15, 20. I'm not sure exactly what his price is. I know it's somewhere from 10 to 20 though. Inzektor Dragonfly, it's down to 1, but you gotta run it. No matter what this card is, you have to run it at that many. So Inzektor Hornet, Inzektor Dragonfly, and Inzektor Centipede, you've got to run as many as you can at all times. And so with that being said, you also run triple Inzektor Centipedes because it is still at 3. I personally think they could have gotten away with semi-limiting Centipede and limiting Dragonfly, and then the deck would still at least be more played. But, you know, you gotta let Konami do what they're gonna do. They do some weird stuff now and then. But Inzektors are pretty much dead, except for the few players like me that still are playing them and still are finding ways to play them. Sangan, because it searches like half the deck, so why not? I don't have any tour guides, so... and now the tour guide's at 2, you can still run it. It's just not quite as consistent as it used to be. So card D is the new way to go in my opinion. But anyways, triple Marshmallow. This is my personal tech. Especially when you set it game 1, turn 1, they're gonna think it's a Sangan. And when they think it's a Sangan, they're gonna go, okay, it doesn't hurt if I attack into it. They attack into Marshmallow, it flips, inflicts 1,000. They're already down to 7,000, and then next turn when you summon a Dragonfly or something like that, they're going to generally summon warning it. That's already 3,000 of their life points gone by turn 2. And if they don't negate Dragonfly or Centipede, then you go off with them, and then you exceed with your Marshmallow if you feel like you've got enough advantage to keep on board. But if you're still behind, you can keep that Marshmallow on board trying to stay alive. And then the last of the monsters is triple Effect Veiler. I was originally only going to run 1 or 2 of it, but when I realized that this deck has a huge weakness, or this card specifically has a huge weakness to Photon Papal Operative, I was like, I need to be able to find ways that I can just stop Photon Papal Operative. So I generally always hold one of these in hand at all times, no matter even if a Logia is on board, or not a Logia, or even if it's a Dino Rabbit is on board, I'll Effect Veiler the Papal Operative instead later. Because Papal Operative kills Marshmallow. And a lot of people start running Papal Operative recently. So that's it for the monsters. For the spells, you run 2 Inzektor Swords Excalibur. 3 is still too many. You gotta have a monster for it to work well. Same with Inzektor Gigamantis. You can't run more than 4 of these 2 cards because otherwise it just gets really bad inconsistency. Speaking of consistency, 2 Pot of Dualities and an Allure of Darkness to try to raise your consistency a little bit. Really good cards, and Pot of Duality is a little bit better now that Dragonfly is limited, because there's less of a chance that you'll be special summon spamming that turn. So I mean, it's a little bit better than it was last format in my opinion, but you never know. It could be about the same. For your staple spells, you got Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, and Heavy Storm. Always running these. These are all really good staples. All 3 of them are just, once you top deck them, it's generally game from there, especially when you need them most. Next up, you got triple MST. It's to clear their back row before you start summoning all your monsters, so that way you can get all your creatures, or your Inzektors through. Because Inzektors, people tend to negate Inzektors. This will keep them from negating them as easily. Last but not least, Foolish Burial. Now that you've only got 1 Hornet, this is a little bit more necessary, because that 1 Hornet is a lot harder to find. And this single card by itself just gets that Hornet to grave, whether you've got 1 of it or 20 of it in your deck. And that's it for the spells. For the traps, I run 2 Fiendish Chains. I'm still considering running 3. I think 3 is a little bit too many and too cloggy, but for now it's going to stay at 2. It's worked really well so far. And it's really fun to Fiendish Chain stuff like Dino Rabbit or Inzektor Dragonfly and stuff like that. Or Shining Elemental, or Absolute Zero, those kind of stuff. You gotta run the Solemn Brigade. It's kind of necessary in every deck, especially now this format when crazy decks are running around. Really weird crazy decks like Gear Giz, as I explained in my last video, Gear Giz, Sidekicks, and the new prophecies that are coming out. The Solemn Brigade is going to be pretty important. It's always been important, but I think it's going to be more important than normal. Triple Magic Cylinder, along with Marshmallow. This deck has, along with losing the 2 Dragonfly and 2 Hornets that it lost, it also lost power, in my opinion. You can't inflict as much damage in one game as you used to be able to do. So this is kind of to make up for this. This and Marshmallow kind of make up for it. And Marshmallow, and the fact that it was level 3 just helped it even more. But Magic Cylinder and Marshmallow are just to get that extra damage in to make sure that I can finish my opponent off with my Inzektors and the extra deck exceeds. So that's just to help guarantee that I will win. And it's really fun to flip Magic Cylinder for game. So 2 Mirror Force, just because it's a 2 and it's really awesome. And with a deck like this and you've got so many weak monsters, they're going to be attacking into your monsters a lot. So I got a lot of attack negating traps just to try to keep them from destroying all my guys pretty much. 2-Dimensional Prison, and that's the last of the deck. And the deck is at 42 because I threw 2-Dimensional Prisons in there. Let's go ahead and go into the extra deck. I got a lot of extra deck stuff while I was at the regional, so the extra deck looks much better than it used to be. Still not looking the way I want it to be exactly, but I don't really care. 1 Wind-Up zVeNoMz. I only have 1 still, but now that it's in a 10, I would actually run only 1 now this format. Last format I would have run 2, but this format I'm only running 1 for sure. Now that it's in a 10, you should be able to get this for cheap. So if you're wanting to run this deck and you're feeling like Wind-Up zVeNoMz is expensive and you're going to replace it with something like, I don't know, something dumb like a second of Levier or something like that, because Levier you only need 1 of. But you just don't, because you can get it for 20 bucks. Just go buy a 10, and then you get some other stuff. Some other nice stuff. Tim Tempo, the Percussion Division. This card is really good against zVeNoMz, and a lot of people use zVeNoMz. So this kind of just says, hey zVeNoMz, you're going to die this turn. That's pretty much what he says. 1 Levier, the Sea Dragon. You run Allure of Darkness. People can chain disappearance your Dragonfly or Centipede, or your Dragonfly or your Hornet even, which chain disappearance isn't going to be sided in against Inzektors as much as they used to be, but they might still be sided in, so that helps for that and brings them back. Plus, you can banish a Dragonfly for Dark Arm Dragon's effect and then bring it right back and continue your combo with Levier and Dragonfly and all them. 1 Lavalval Ignis. I tested this card out at the regional, and it actually, the one time I brought it out, it actually put in a whole lot of work. It's a pretty decent card, and I'm never going to run more than 1, but 1 is fine. Next up, you've got 2 Giga Brilliance, just to boost up the attack of all your monsters on board, especially if you've got an extra level 3 Inzektor that doesn't have any equips yet. You can summon this to beef it up, and generally that's an Inzektor or a Hopper or something like that, and you can boost it up to make sure it doesn't get killed as easily next turn. 2 Leviathan Dragon, quite possibly one of my favorite rank 3 exceeds. It's just a really good card, and I really like the looks of it and everything, so it's really good. 1 Grinosaurus, the one time I brought this out at the whole regional, it wrecked face. I brought it out against a deck that the highest attack they had was like 1,700 or something like that. So this always put in work every time it attacked, and it was pretty fun. And it worked for the most part, as I just said. It's really fun when you hit a Sangan and it's like you hit nothing. But they do get the search, but it's like you just attack directly, pretty much. 1 Acid Golem. Acid Golem's so good. I actually OTK'd somebody at the regional thanks to this guy, and I was happy about it. Triple Utopia. Utopia is the only rank 4 exceed that I really actually like that is TCG available right now. I'm not sure if Digusto, Emerald, and Lavalval Chain might be alternates to this, one of them at least, and then you'll see my other rank 4s. So I'll replace one of these with Lavavel Chain, and then one of the next 2 cards with Diagustal Emeralds. Next up, you've got Gemini Pearl. It's a 26 plane beater, and specifically for skill drain, if you're facing the skill drain. And then this is what I would, number C39 Utopia Ray. I just run so many Utopias, I figured I would run this. But this is what I would take out for the Diagusto Emerald. That way you have I'm not even sure if they're out yet. I'm pretty sure they might be, but who knows. I haven't been keeping up with Yu-Gi-Oh! That much lately. I've been keeping up with a lot of Vanguard though. Let's go into the side deck. I run 1 Beatron. My side deck is all continuous spells pretty much, or not all, but mostly. So this guy's going to be good if I side him in with my continuous spells. Triple Howling Insect. I haven't tested these in the main deck yet, but I also haven't tested it in the sideboard, so I just figured I don't have any room in my main deck yet. So I'm just going to side it first and see what happens. And if I like it, I might main it, and if I don't, it's probably going to be taken out of the side deck. But for now, it's more of just like a floater. They kill it, I special summon another one in defense. They kill that one, I special summon another one. If they kill that, I special summon like Dragonfly or something like that. So it's pretty much just to be a floater. Kind of like what's his face? Tengu, Reborn Tengu. So now for the continuous spells in the side deck. 2 Verdant Sanctuary. With some of the stuff getting hit, you need more search engine, and this is kind of another search engine along with the Pot of Dualities and Allure of Darknesses. So it's pretty decent. I haven't tested it fully yet, but the few times I have tested it seems to be good. Triple Prohibition. It is good against every single deck, especially Dark Worlds. It's so fun to hit Dark Worlds with this. First you hit Grapha with the first one. The second one you want to hit Dark World, or first you hit Grapha, then you hit Drag Down into the Grave, because that card kills your deck, or kills Inzektors. But and then you also want to hit generally Dark World Dealings, and that pretty much shuts down their discard engine. The only discard engine they have left is the Field Spell, which you can just MST or Hornet Pop. So I mean, if you get all 3 Prohibitions on board, hitting Grapha, so that way they can't destroy it with Grapha, then Drag Down, and then Dark World Dealings, they have pretty much no discard outlets, and then their deck's pretty much just a bunch of 1600 vanillas and 1700 vanillas and 1300 vanillas and whatever attacks they are. They're just vanillas pretty much, and the Graphas can't be summoned unless you tribute for them. Triple Dimensional Prison. This card is really good against Dark Worlds, really good against Dark Worlds. It's also really good against heroes for the most part, because once they Gemini Spark, it gets removed from play instead of killed, instead of into the grave, so they can't use it as a Miracle Fusion target. And if they negate a special summon with the effect of Thunder King, which some hero decks still use, that gets banished instead of going to grave. This card is just really good. And then the last of my sideboard, I got all 3 of these at the regional. It made me happy because they look so nice. Triple Twister. It's the ultimate rare Twister. But Twister is pretty much Malefic Skill Drain just destroys this deck if they get a Skill Drain turn 1, especially if they get an Echo Valley along with it, because then you have to worry about 2 cards. But when you're facing a deck that has roughly 5 or 6 face-up spell traps that are going to kill you, and you're running 6 MST technically, because this is pretty much an MST, then they're pretty much not going to be able to keep those on board long enough for it to affect you that bad. So that's the deck, guys. If you enjoyed it, rate, comment, subscribe. Go check out my other videos, and I will see you in the next video.